What it is. Everybody, happy Tuesday. Welcome to those of you who just finished watching the Candace Owens show. Is that what the channel is called? No, it's just called Candace Owens. So I made sure to watch it. Today was the day. Today was the climax, I believe, of the 3-month-long Charlie Kirk investigation on the Candace Owens channel. Today, I believe, was the climax, and now it will be followed by the denouement, if you speak French. And well, in terms of at least the number of people tuned in. So we have been following the Candace Owens drama as of late. As you know, if you've been watching this channel, we welcome Candace Owens fans, although they don't like me, mostly because I've been a little bit critical. But today is a new day. Today's a new day. I tuned in for it. I listened to the whole thing. And although what she said wasn't that crazy today, I didn't think. Her fans, I just watched the chat the entire time. And the chat hates her. It seems like she had to accuse them of being bots, which they took offense to. So welcome to the show. If you are a Candace Owens fan and you have feedback, I can take phone calls on this show, which is one of the unique aspects of this television program. So I made you so, depending on how the chat lights up. We are going on right after she finished. And just like I said, the main comments were fake and gay and sellout. That's what I saw. Even though I didn't think she really sold out personally, she kind of just recounted what happened in the Erika Kirk meeting. But people seem to be extremely let down. And for the person in the chat who said no one turned on her, I will refer to the comment section, which is what she said to refer to, because the live chat is full of bots. And the comment section is not positive today for the first time that I've seen. It's a remarkable on a dime change from her usually sycophantic followers to all of them. Well, we'll look at the comments in as much as you guys want to observe that drama. It may be the end of it. May now. I saw a bunch of people saying they're going to unsubscribe, and that's like, that's it, I'm done, etc., etc., etc. So we will see what the future of the Candace Owens show holds for her and like what happens next. So I'll give you guys the latest updates. There's, I'll give you guys some stuff. I mean, for one thing, Steven Crowder published the video of when she was fired from the Daily Wire. So you guys can see that if you want. There is a brand new debunking of the Egyptian planes, which she seemed to acknowledge. And she has said she's going to be publishing a new spreadsheet of the Egyptian planes to clear up what she said was some kind of a mistake she seemed to have made. So she's apparently going to clear something up, but still kind of said the Egyptian planes were following her. I have Alex Jones weighing in, who seems to be, he actually for the full time, he's been skeptical of the Charlie Kirk conspiracy theories. So he doesn't seem to be on her side. Megyn Kelly revealed she set up the meeting with Erika and Candace, which apparently lasted 4.5 hours. They exchanged information. Candace published a thing last night that said she's alive, and she would talk about it today. So I'll get into the latest from that, and I'll show you the New York Post. There are mainstream media outlets that are coming out with hit pieces that I know, like Tim Pool worked with. I think the Washington Post is going to come out with a hit piece on Candace Owens too. but there was a hit piece today published by the New York Post, which most people in the comments underneath were, slamming the New York Post and saying they're fake and gay. But they revealed some information that's relevant, I think, including that Candace wasn't invited to his wedding. So, which opens up the possibility that she maybe was. Well, who knows? Maybe that Erika didn't like her, or that Charlie was over her, because there's lots of different comments about that. So I'll cover the latest on that. There are also some other really interesting things in the news today, and we do cover the news here. Susie Wiles did like 12 interviews with Vanity Fair, and this journalist who's interviewed a bunch of chiefs of staff, and actually it was a bunch of other people from the Trump administration too. And she said a bunch of unfavorable things about Trump. Well, like one thing about Trump, or a few different things about Trump. She talked about the regime change in Venezuela and how that's the plan, and that's been the plan all along, and that's why we're blowing up the so-called drug boats. We did just bomb 3 more drug boats, one of which was just sitting still in the water. So we're continuing to do that. We're continuing to try to regime change Venezuela. And she kind of said that. She slams Elon Musk and says he's a ketamine user. She slams Vice President J.D. Vance as a conspiracy theorist, but he had kind of a good response to it. So I'll show you that. We can talk about J.D. Vance and whether he's going to be the standard bearer for the GOP going forward in 2028. There's big news, if it's true, the stuff in Brown University and the shooting in the Hanukkah shooting still have major questions. A lot of people making fun of the blood-soaked October 7th survivor who just happened to take a selfie of himself. And I think there is some AI stuff going on that makes it look like he's being made up. I think it's AI at least. But there are some people calling false flag on that. And actually, it's open to discussion. I mean, it's ISIS. It's they went to the Philippines, apparently. It might have been training in the Philippines, and who knows who was training them. So whether they had like Mossad handlers who wanted them to shoot up a Hanukkah celebration, I mean, whatever you want to think. There's some discussion of the response from the Australian police, which they're happy with, but other people aren't happy with. There's some female cop who people are making fun of who didn't engage. So we can talk about that a little bit. But in the Brown shooting, there's a reporter who says that the target of that shooting was very interesting. I won't reveal everything in the intro. Otherwise, you would have no reason to tune to the rest of the show. So there's one good reporter who says that actually there may have been, that one of the people killed in the Brown shooting may have been the target. And then it's like a 4chan investigation thinks they've found the person responsible, who's a pro-Palestinian foreigner. So I'll show you that. In addition to that, I have a lot of tabs open. We might talk about AI. We might talk about affordability. We might talk about healthcare, depending on how much we get to today. So let me look at the chat for a second, just see. This is it. It says, I unfollowed her, but I wasn't really a fan then, was I? I'm actually scared I might be a bot. Oh my God. Well, a lot of people said they unfollowed her. So like I said, if it seems like the thing to do, I could open up the phone for people who want to discuss it, if people seem like they want to discuss it. But I did that before and nobody called in, so I don't want to be embarrassed again. So, but yes, I saw many people like you in her chat. So we'll see. I'm following her live subscriber count, but it's not specific. She'd have to lose 10,000 subscribers before I see anything. So we'll see. I did see a bunch of people saying, oh, that's it, I'm done. unsubscribing, etc. But I kind of had a feeling this thing was close to its climax, because with this December 15th date, and that TPUSA was going to do their thing, it seemed like that was going to be it. And then I don't know where else she has to go. A lot of people want her to say that a lot of people are real hardcore conspiracy theorists now in her audience. So they have different theories, like he's not dead, which I've heard from some of my subscribers too, is that he's not dead, and they wish that I would just say that everything in the news is fake and gay, and he didn't even die. But she seemed to admit that he was buried. So anyway, we're going to talk about all that stuff. I'll see what people are saying in the chat. Thomas23 says, I unsubscribed. She officially jumped the shark. I think she did that a long time ago, personally. But if today was the day that it took you to come to that conclusion, I respect that. So, but maybe for different reasons. So, all right, let's play the intro and then we'll get to the show. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. And, we love everyone. Okay. Cue musical intro. Boy, that's brilliant. I do think some things in the world are real. Like you guys. You guys are real. Most of you. Most of my listeners, I think, are not just in my head. I think I have the metrics to prove it. You've taken a leap of faith today. What is that sound? And I apologize if you take offense. I'm a little offended myself. Welcome to our show. Welcome to the future. What it is, joining you live from sunny California. It's a beautiful day today. I'm your host, Nathan Stoltman. And I bring you the news, the real news. My favorite comment. I know it's an old intro. It's 10 years old. I had more hair. Thanks, GS Crippler 9499, who says, damn, Nathan went bald. Yes, I know. The thing I'm really jealous of with Candace's show is that the people that hate her still super chat her to tell her that, which I would appreciate too. If you want to support this show, this channel is still considered harmful. So super chats are not available, but we are in the modern age. There are many ways to show your appreciation, and there's no tax on tips, and also no 30% Google tax if you go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, and you can leave as many coffees as you like, and you can leave a comment and I'll still read it on the show. It's almost the same, takes a little more work, but saves a lot of money just going to ScrewTube, which has treated me very poorly over the years because as you may or may not know, I'm one of the OG conspiracy theorists of YouTube. Had my channel banned several times, once for the Las Vegas shootings, once for vaccines. Because they reversed their stance on vaccines, they brought me back recently, and now I'm reapplying to be monetized. But you can go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, leave me a coffee. You can go to Cash App, $LTV411. That's direct. They don't take anything. Or you can buy some t-shirts, and we still have those. Those are, that is a store we created. They're not drop shipped. I'll show you what we have left. These are on closeout liquidation sale. So check them out. See if you can get it in your size. We have these Question Everything shirts, which were one of our most popular designs. I think they're mostly sold out now. What is not sold out is many of our Bitcoin and cryptocurrency t-shirts, which are $10 and $5. So get those while you can. These Freedom of Faith shirts, I think we have one of these left. Made in America, $5. Women's. And then we have some women's styles. I don't know how many we have left, but I want to say. For the ladies, we have these really nice slouchies. They're Bella and canvas. I mean, really high quality shirts, screen printed in stock. We ship them out. They're priced at less than wholesale cost, I believe, especially with inflation. And they're super nice. So check them out, support the show, buy yourself a nice t-shirt that lasts a long time. Truthclothing.io. Okay. Candace Owens. Okay. So let's see what people are saying. Tomez23 is one of her fans, says she made bank. I thought she jumped the shark when she said they were after her. So today was the day I stopped watching the never-ending soap opera. I said on my show that he who rides the tiger can never dismount. Many of my 100,000 subscribers are from conspiracy theories, some of which I was very wrong about, but convinced at the time. Sometimes when I was wrong, I got more subscribers than when I was right. Sometimes I was really right. Some of the moon landing stuff, especially, had some very nice insight on that. But I will tell you from experience that once you ride the tiger, you can never dismount, meaning that people will demand that the conspiracy theories continue. When you go down that route, a lot of people were pushing her toward the Charlie Kirk is alive. And I think Epstein is alive. I think that they used a body double and killed him, and actually probably didn't, and probably did a autopsy on that person, since there was the ear. You guys remember the ear in the Epstein case. I think actually Epstein is probably still alive. But Charlie Kirk, we did see him get shot. She said something about there not being blood. I mean, blood was gushing out of his neck. But there's some new conspiracy about his hands being burnt that people are talking about, and she actually denied that and actually seemed to admit that he was buried, which a lot of people said he wasn't. So I expect things to kind of go downhill from here. Lyndham, did she actually say Tyler was the killer? She said she wants to be able to say that Tyler is the killer. That's what she said. She said she asked Erika what proof they have that Tyler was the killer, because she wants to be able to say to her listeners, if it's true, that Tyler is the killer. And she said that they don't have any evidence that hasn't been presented to the public. They being the local law enforcement who's running the case in Utah and the FBI, that what they released, what TPUSA knows, is what the feds told everybody, the charging documents, basically. So that's what they're basing their conclusion on, that Tyler Robinson was the shooter. So Candace Owens fans are not turning on her. The title of this is misleading, clickbait. Okay, Kelsey Robertson. Candace Owens accused her chat of being bots today, which many took offense to. She said, read the comments for what people really think. So let's look at the comments and see if I made a misleading title. The title was based on her chat, where people were saying that it was fake and gay. It was based on her chat that I was reading. Now, she said that's bots, but actually, let me show you this. I'll show you this first. I just took a few screenshots of super chats, because it wasn't just the chats, but actually the people paying her that were saying it was fake and gay. So let's see if it's misleading. You may be a fan, and you can call in if you want to. Let me know. You can call in and we can discuss it. I'm happy to do so. This person with a $10 super chat said, a private meeting is so fake and gay. You were the only person I trusted in media, and now that has changed. Not sure who to believe anymore. That was a $10 super chat. And I just took, I could have taken pictures of all the super chats. Most of the super chats were saying it was fake and gay. She was fake and gay. Here's another super chat for $4.99. that says from Bagged and Stacked, who says, how much did they pay you to join their false narrative? And you can see actually the chat that is not a super chat right above it says, how could you sell out for Charlie? People were saying she sold out. Those were the main things. Fake and gay, sell out. That's what I saw in the chat. So I try not to be misleading with my titles. And she said to check the comment section. So let's check the comment section on her video. This
okay, everybody.
Before my show started, and her comment section, unedited by me. Top comment says, I think I just realized we, the people, will never be allowed to know now. I think they meant. The next comment says, it's a big club and we aren't in it. People were accusing Candace of having gotten the call or having sold out. Now she's protecting TPSA. The next comment, these are the top comments. 4.5 hours of conversation, and yet we, the people, are still confused as F. And then somebody else mentioned something that's not necessarily mean to Candace. Here's another person that says, the best part of this episode is the comments as they validate my deflation. So I respect you, Kelsey Robertson, female fan of Candace Owens, but I'm just going based on what I see with my eyes. The party wants you not to believe your eyes and ears. That is their first directive. So that's what's going on. That's what's going on. And I've said, let's see. Let's talk about the article from the date from the Post today. I'll show you that. The hit pieces are coming out on Candace. I never said that I thought Candace was lying. I never said that. I thought she was being earnest and telling the truth. But a lot of the information she was getting was from her mommy and daddy sleuths and her tip box, which she claimed to have vetted, but maybe didn't really vet thoroughly. And I just didn't believe some of the things she was apparently getting tips on. For one, the biggest thing being the French government wanting to assassinate her, which the FBI also doesn't seem to believe, or the federal government. Another one, I think the Egyptian planes may have also been a tip. And there are people who seem to be debunking the Egyptian planes. So I'll show you that. This is a hit piece about her today. New York Post, inside Candace Owens' sadistic and dangerous world monetizing baseless conspiracies. And Candace Owens is wanting people to pay her extra for the extra security she needs now because she called Brigitte Macron a man, amongst other things. So this article says a few different things. It is a hit piece, and and it's a lot of anonymous quotes. She denied one of them. One of them was that everybody hated her at the Daily Wire, and she threw her car keys to a producer thinking they would park her car. She claims she never had to drive herself to the Daily Wire, so that was clearly a lie. That's what she claimed. This also gets into her history, which is true, which is that she has a history of suing people for discrimination or other things. Several different lawsuits against people for apparently racial discrimination. She also had a company that I can show you the video actually of her promoting that company. You may be interested in that, which doxed people who were online trolls or something. She had a company doing that, but she had multiple lawsuits which were not backed up with any evidence and which were either just settled or thrown out, where she claimed racial discrimination. It seems like throughout her life, people haven't liked her. She also had a loss. She also was renting an apartment when she was working in a supportive role for a hedge fund or something in Connecticut. She had a $3,500 a month apartment, which she stopped paying rent for. And after 6 months, they sued her for rent. She countersued and claimed that there was mold that was giving her yeast infections, amongst other things. She also posted a super unflattering picture. She sent in as evidence a really unflattering picture of herself without makeup to back up her claims that she was being poisoned by mold in this luxury apartment, a case which she lost and was ordered to pay $20,000 for. So that's some of her history. The Daily Wire, as we know, fired her. Many people say she's a DEI hire, which, she's a great broadcaster. She's very captivating. So I understand why they wanted her, even though, yes, there is motive for conservative organizations to have a Black female. There's somebody else who claimed that Blexit was a scam, but I see other people backing up her work on Blexit. Lots of insider claims. One source close to TPUSA brass claimed to the Post, Charlie pushed her out because she was going a little bit nuts, but he would still text her to keep the friendship going. They say she wasn't invited to Charlie's wedding in 2021. Someone says that after Charlie started dating Erika, that Owens was feeling usurped. Who is this interloper who knew nothing taking over? The anonymous source claimed, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They talk about her claims about blood libel, about saying Jews kill Christians to use their blood in ceremonies, which, don't know. And then the Brigitte Macron thing, which if she's wrong about Brigitte Macron, then she's going to be kind of fucked, they say, because they apparently sent her evidence that Brigitte Macron is a female, and Candace went on to continue saying definitively that Brigitte Macron is a man. And I believe that Brigitte Macron is her own brother now, but apparently they sent evidence like maybe pregnancy photos or other things, which she ignored. What's up? I always want to say Dearth. What's up, dude? Who says Candace is either controlled or she 100% can't imagine Charlie is in on it and not dead. There, that's the Dearth is how would you say it? DITRH. Candace is either controlled or she 100% can't imagine Charlie is in on it and not dead. Therefore, she has to believe the BS. So the problem with the conspiracy theories is if you really want to go max, you have to go where this gentleman is going, which is that Charlie Kirk isn't dead and it was all fake, which, what do I know? You did kind of have live video of him getting shot and blood coming out of his neck, but it's possible to fake things, Hollywood and so forth. So, but this is the thing with getting into these different conspiracy theories is now people are going off on other tangents and they're going to claim, some of them, that Candace isn't going far enough and that Charlie Kirk isn't dead, like I said. So thanks for that. And you have a wrench too. Good for you. So many people in the chat claim that she is a man. I am all for transvestigations, but I'm open to the fact that she might lose. The relationship is very strange between the Macrons. She's almost like a PETA or Jeffrey Epstein type. I think she was his teacher when he was like 14 or something. I mean, it's a very strange relationship. She has many mannish characteristics, but if she is a woman, she would know. Apparently, she has children. And if they are going forward with the case, knowing that there would be discovery and they'd have to prove she was a woman, then Candace Owens might be totally fucked. Oh, another thing pointed out in this article is that her husband, who might be gay, according to some, not according to this article, hasn't ever had a real job. Apparently, he was given the opportunity to open or start Parlor, which now isn't doing very well. Gets his money from his dad, but his dad is on some kind of committee. It's like a Christian Jew relationship committee, and he's not that happy about Candace Owens and her quote unquote anti-Semitism. So he could cut off the funds going to the aristocrat arranged marriage kind of husband. So that was also revealed. So, and we'll still see now if a lot of people said in the chat were Groypers. They say Nick Fuentes was right. We'll see if Nick Fuentes decides to go ahead with his expose, which I would look forward to watching just to see what he talks about. But we'll see if that happens. Thank you, Supercalifragilistic. Says, you're fake and gay. I appreciate that. I appreciate that in the form of a super chat. If possible, go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil. Leave me a coffee and say, you're fake and gay. Then I can at least grift off people hating me, which I would really appreciate. Thank you very much for that. I am fake and gay. Okay. So anyway, that's the New York Post story. What else? Do you want to see? Here's the debunking of the planes, which she kind of admitted to today, was that she was wrong about the planes, even though Tucker Carlson said she was right. This is from somebody kind of famous on Twitter, Kanekoa the Great. He apparently made a video about it too. Breaking 66% of Candace Owens' Egyptian planes location claims are wrong. 60% are on the wrong continent. I rebuilt her spreadsheet. I purchased Flight Radar 24 data. I verified it using $950 flight aware logs. Here is the full breakdown with a video. He goes on to say Candace has provided zero verifiable proof of Erika's location. At the same time, Candace's own spreadsheet shows she misidentified the Egyptian plane's locations 66% of the time. Do you want to see a 3-minute breakdown of it? It could be educational. You want to see it? Let's see. It's somebody else's content. Let me think. Will they sue me? Am I going to get a strike? 3 minutes? That's not very long. Let's see. Thank you. I'm so sorry. Oh, 37 seconds wasted. Yes, I lost audio when I changed tabs. I should have remembered. I was showing something that didn't require audio. Then there was audio. I apologize, people. I just wasted 37 seconds of your life. It sounds like it's more of the same. And kind of boring. So it's okay. More of the same. She actually admitted it, that she was wrong, I think, because she says she's going to repost a new spreadsheet. Okay. So That apparently has been debunked. I feel somewhat satisfied that this person is correct, even though Tucker Carlson said the Egyptian planes thing is true. So many different theories. I don't know if she's ever going to come back to her other theories. She claimed the military was involved 100%, based again on some anonymous source where she said the wrong military rank. I don't know if she's ever going to bring up any of her other theories. She said the military was 100% involved and she was going to show proof. And she talked to a guy who was at a meeting on a base where her security guy was. So Alicia Savage says, as an actor, I think you'd be aware of blood squibs. Oh, I'm aware. It is possible to fake a death. It's possible. It's possible. It's okay if people have that theory. It seemed pretty realistic to me. But you can fake things with advanced Hollywood special effects. But who else was in on it and so forth? So you'd have to say TPUSA was all in on it, I guess. And then you'd have to give me the theory for what the motive is for a fake death, since they're if I would assume, like, let's go with that theory that it's a fake death. Let's think about why they had to fake his death, because he was turning on Israel, and then think about who benefits from faking his death when it seems like TPUSA is still going to die, probably. So if it was TPUSA, why would they get rid of the guy that brings all the views? We know their podcast has dropped from top 10 to bottom 100, not bottom 100, to almost 100th on the podcast charts. The people that they have hosting the show are not very engaging and not very talented. TPUSA seems to be burning to the ground, even disregarding Candace Owens' investigation into them. I don't know how much legs it has. Anyway, most of the kids don't support Israel anymore. So the fact that they're going on the one thing that happened with the death of Charlie Kirk is that they're going more pro-Israel than even Charlie Kirk was. And the kids don't like Israel. So I don't know how influential they're going to continue to be without Charlie Kirk, who was kind of the glue. But I'm just checking the chat. All right. Someone says the shirt popping up. Yeah, the shirt deformation. I saw a video on that. So let me show you this. The 30-06 is still in question. I am not a ballistics expert. The 30-06 is still in question, and Chris Martinson is Dr. Chris Martinson, who went to Duke and is kind of a smart guy. He early on went on Alex Jones to say that he thought conclusively that the shooter did not take the shot from the official location. So this guy, Chris Martinson, at least is still on board with at least a conspiracy theory that Tyler Robinson wasn't the shooter, and that Charlie Kirk was shot from a different location. And Chris Martinson did a full-on test for the 30-06 theory, which people don't believe because they've been told that a 30-06 would go through and through. And everybody says that with 100% certainty, even if in most cases having no experience with hunting rifles themselves, but just believing what some experts have said. But in any case, this particular expert, Chris Martinson, did a bunch of tests, I believe with pig heads, with bones in them and spines and everything, with a 30-06, did the test 55 different times with 5 different 30-06 loads, filmed it, super high frames per second, and every single shot exited. So he did the experiment. people say, oh, you don't know what grain the bullet was, for example. I assume when he says different loads, that's different grain, although I don't know for sure. He could have done the bullets himself, put in how much gunpowder and so forth. It might be different than what people think it is. It might not have a standard load, etc. So anyway, he tested it with a bunch of different loads at the distance that we're told it happened from, shot into pig heads, I believe, and every single one exited. Every single one. That's his proof. So I don't know how to discount that. There are other so-called ballistic experts who say that bullets can do strange things once they hit the target. And I personally never shot a 30-06, not a hunter, don't like killing nice, pretty animals, have lots of deer around here. We're not allowed to kill them, even with our cars, even if we wanted to. So I don't know. But to me, it's possible. Nick Fuentes says Martin Luther King Jr. was allegedly shot with a 30-06, which did not exit. So people were asking for one example. And in the official story about MLK Jr., he was also shot with a 30-06, which did not exit. Now, Martin Luther King, tough story because that's also a conspiracy theory. So that's the other, we don't know whether the official story on Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination is true either. But doing a scientific experiment, apparently it should have exited. So don't know. I don't know where Candace is going to go next. So, all right. So that's that. Went to the New York Post story. I'll open up the phone. I have enough people tuned in. People want Dearth to call in. I'm trying to remember what that stands for. I can't remember at all. I can't remember at all. Let me see if Gemini knows. Let's see how smart AI is. DITRH. What does that stand for? Let's see how smart Gemini is. Do it to remind her? No, that's not it. I know that's not it. Do it to remind her? Do it to remind her? Are you crazy, Gemini? See, I know it's just making stuff up. I'll post the phone number, and we have enough people tuned in that maybe people want to call in and discuss it. I'm open to it. I'll play the mega. Oh, let me. Should I play a few other clips first? Let me play Alex Jones, who's trying to ride the fence on it, but I can tell he doesn't believe the Candace Owens story. And it's not just Charlie Kirk. The Candace Owens story also includes the assassination story. Some guy who's in her neighborhood who works for a company who apparently is going to kill her, allegedly. That's been dropped. I haven't heard anything about that recently. So anyway, here's Alex riding the fence on it a little bit. Let me play that, and I'll open up the phone in a second.
And a lot more. Boy, I got to tell you, I have not commented on the TPUSA Candace Owens multi-month-long soap opera that has been sucking all the oxygen out of the room and become the only major issue anybody's talking about, literally. And obviously, I'm not just here to get ratings. I could be all over this and just, but I have all these other serious issues I'm looking at and dealing with here. And so I haven't had time to really go investigate it, all the angles of it, and look at it. And it's gotten so bad. About 2 weeks ago, I started doing about 3 hours of research a day just because I need to know what I should do about this because it's become such a distraction. And I'm not trying to blame TPUSA. I'm not trying to blame Candace. I'm not trying to pick a side here. And it's not that I ride fences. I haven't figured out exactly what's going on yet.
Speaking of conspiracy theories.
I've hit a tipping point with the information, and in the next few days, I'm going to go ahead and cover it. But it gives me a headache to have to go into all this stuff. But I'm just going to say this. What we're being told has gotten so elaborate and so ridiculous. And so many of the sources that, oh, this person says this with no proof of who they are, no proof. You know, they're in Arizona the day before, and they're special ops, but in another group, and they go into a room, and there's 12 colonels or 15 colonels, and they're all planning to, you know, take out Charlie Kirk. I mean, just come on.
You can tell. See, he doesn't believe
and all these anonymous people popping up with their voices changed and blurred, and then everybody runs with that, and then later it's not true, and just building and 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 building, and all these groups involved and all these things involved, and just all of it. And then statements like, how dare Erika Kirk raise $40 million supposedly in a fundraiser? We need giant war chest. TPUSA flooded the zone, got millions of voters registered, took us over the top. The Democrats completely hated it. And then I'm not attacking Candace because I've got big problems with TPUSA. And that's why I haven't got to it yet. So I've got to sit there with all the information I have and just write up a list of the TPUSA stuff I've got issues with and concerns, and then all the things that have been put out. And then you just, I'm just asking questions, move the next thing in a soap opera way. And it's fine to ask questions. It just becomes something that has to be analyzed and looked at. And so that's why I haven't covered it yet, because I like to actually know what's going on.
Is that it? I guess that's the whole thing. So he doesn't believe Candace Owens. It's very clear, but is afraid to say it, like a lot of people have been. So at this time, I don't know if it's any longer necessary, because Candace Owens may be a victim of her own success. Now that she met with somebody finally, she can't help but kind of take her side. She was shown phone records. My phone is open. Let's see if people want to call in. The phone is open. The number is 650-GAY-TAXI. I can also drop a link for people who don't have a phone, or if it's like long distance and you live in another country or something, I can drop a link too. Let's try the phone and see if people want to call in. We have enough people tuned in. And we can entertain your questions, etc. So we will try that. 650-GAY-TAXI is the number. 650-429-8294. The number is on the screen right now. I will look at comments. Please allow David Weiss to call in. Yes, deep inside the rabbit hole. Sorry, David. David Weiss and I go back a long way. David Weiss actually has beef, I believe, with Jaron right now, because David Weiss is an original flat earther and Jaron is a reformed flat earther, current globetard. So, who I was thinking about having on my show, but I'm curious if Candace Owens is a flat earther, actually, when it comes down to it. She says she doesn't believe in dinosaurs. That kind of goes along with that way of thinking. Dinosaurs, I don't know for sure. I'm just curious how they had sex, to be honest. And also, they were very large. They must have had to eat a lot. And I'm just curious how there was enough food for them, considering trees and stuff were the same size. All right, we have a call. Hello, you're on the air.
Hey, Nathan, it's the Branch.
Hey, Branch, what's up?
I called at the very moment when you were speculating about whether or not dinosaurs had sex.
Yes, yes.
To me.
Yeah, I'm just curious how they did it, especially those big herbivores and stuff. Like, I mean, how did they, I don't understand, like, how they figured that out. And then with the tail in the way and everything, I just don't know. Never seen anything.
Well, if they're reptilian, maybe it's eggs,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, reptiles lay eggs. That's right. We know that from Jurassic Park. So somebody in the chat says elephants still figure it out. So yeah, that's true. Elephants were big too, so it's possible.
And I didn't think about it till just now, but maybe there was like some chemical pheromone stuff going on too. Who knows? Maybe they had totally different things. And I mean, after all, they're extinct, so their way of procreating could have been less efficient.
I think we can bring them back. There are people bringing back extinct species now. Like I heard the saber-toothed tiger is coming back and the woolly mammoth. There's a company that's doing that. And what else?
The dire wolf as well.
Oh, the dire wolf also is going to come back. What do you think about resurrecting extinct species?
Well, the Umbrella Corporation LARPing side of me thinks that it's a great idea.
Okay.
But
good.
But practically, as a human being, I think it's probably perilous, because anytime that humans try to play God, it kind of ends up blowing up in our faces.
Yes. Well, that's why they made the Jurassic Park movies, to warn us about playing God. So,
right.
Do you have comments about Candace Owens today?
Well, I was just going to say that could be predictive programming too. Maybe they're kind of planning to do that sort of thing all along,
Sure.
We'll have like trans species. Maybe dinosaurs will be more human-like than we realize,
Well, I tune into AI guys who are always talking about the future and how technology is awesome and stuff. And they talk about upgrading animals to make them more intelligent, to make them like almost as like, so that they can be as smart as humans and stuff.
But, and that reminds me of that movie, Island of Dr. Monroe.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a classic from my childhood.
I'm trying to remember, was it South Park that did the parody of that, where they made a monkey with 9 butts or something? You remember that?
I never watched South Park really, so I'm not sure.
It was one of them. They did a parody of the Island of Dr. Moreau where he made a monkey with 9 butts, I believe.
Well, I'm sure that sounds like South Park. But as far as the Candace stuff, I was actually watching her. I don't normally watch her, but I was watching her when your show started, so I jumped over. But I don't really feel like she's compromising in any way. I mean, I guess maybe her viewers were expecting her to do it as a live show or something, maybe they felt kind of slighted for that.
It was interesting to me too, because I didn't think she really went back on a lot of things she said. So, like, really, it was interesting how people all seemed to turn on her. Even though I didn't think what she was saying was so off from what she said before. She still said she was going to continue the investigation. But I think people liked the cat fight between her and Erika and didn't want her to get along with Erika, maybe. And maybe that's a sign of compromise.
Yeah. Well, there's also the theory that they're on the same side, which even Tim Pool's throwing some weird angles out, like they have the same security. And,
which Candace denied on her show today, and so they don't have the same security.
Yeah, well, and that rumor, whatever it is, sprung out of that Tim Pool episode. One of those GG33 guys was on there, and he was, just saying stuff, like he was the authority on all of it. But yeah, who knows, right? So, but there's also, you see content creators sometimes creating controversy like that, But I think in this case, it might be a little more genuine because she had a friendship before Erika entered into the scene, So
right.
I have to wonder if maybe they were trying to co-op Charlie, perhaps, and maybe steer him in a different direction, so to speak. But maybe influences like this were kind of keeping that from happening, And I did watch a video today. I think I might have sent it to you. I'm not sure, but it was like 10 points that Charlie laid out, and most of them were concerning like Epstein.
Oh yeah,
and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, so Candace, she definitely revealed. It was being denied at first by TPUSA that Charlie was changing his mind about Israel, I guess.
Right.
And I think her revealing those text messages was super helpful.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, because otherwise, I mean, because what it really starts to do, it starts to paint a motive. Like you said, you need to know the motive, right?
Right.
And I don't really see this random trans furry guy having much of a motive other than just, ooh, I hate conservatives, or
Yeah.
whatever.
But people
He
do hate
doesn't-
conservatives.
Well, he didn't even live in
Especially
the area.
trans leftists.
You have to travel there, what I mean? So it was strange. And there's all the pre-foreknowledge. That still bothers me, because
Oh, yes. The other trans people on Twitter who are saying that just wait till tomorrow kind of thing.
Which, anybody with a brain in their head knows, okay, they were probably in the same Discord server, you know what I mean?
Right.
Something
Exactly.
like that.
Right.
Talking about
Exactly.
it. So,
yeah.
we
would want to know more about them.
There is a conspiracy. Now, is it just a bunch of furry kids in a Discord server? That's still a conspiracy.
Yeah, it is.
But, it seems to be more than that because, the government's not really giving us a good response. In fact, I didn't get to watch it yet, although I've heard a clip from it. Didn't Kash Patel and his girlfriend do an interview today?
Yes. I haven't watched it, but yes, they did do an interview, and apparently it was like a fluff piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they asked her too. They're like, "Are you Israeli?" And she said, "No."
She said she's not Israeli, right?
In the clip, yeah. So they go, "Oh no!" Like, if you feel like when was the last time an FBI director went and did an interview with his girlfriend?
I know, it's very strange. What's going on with
Yeah.
the Trump administration is very strange.
Right. But, and then people will say, "Oh, well, would Kamala have been better?" I think, it reminds me of the Bush-Obama thing. It's like they make one of the choices so bad that you have to go with the obvious one.
Right.
But then the obvious, it's like getting a really nice pastry, but it's got a fly on it or a piece of crap. Are you willing to eat around it, or are you just going to throw it away? Like they kind of want us to. So with Trump, we're kind of having to eat around the shit.
Yeah.
Like, we did this or that, but it's like, still no, disclosure about the Epstein stuff. We're still starting new wars. I mean, any day now.
Like I have breaking news. I just saw a news alert. Apparently we've blockaded Venezuela.
Oh, well, how appropriate.
And oil prices are going up a little.
And see, they're a member of OPEC, which I didn't think they would be because we're aggressing toward them, but apparently they are. So I was a little puzzled about that. So I was curious if maybe the Maduro administration just wasn't like politically playing ball, or whatever. But
right.
It seemed like they're all supposed to be in agreement with fixing the oil prices, So
yes.
But they got a different type of oil there too.
Heavy oil. But we have heavy oil refineries in the Gulf of America. Yeah. So right? we want that oil for sure.
And that circumvents national security risks, because if you don't even have to import something, you can keep it out there in the Gulf and send it on over to some other country.
Yep.
Then, that's a real nice cooperative effort they got going on there. So I don't know why, like, if you're already working with somebody, why would you kill your business partner and take over? Because that's basically what we're doing. We're already in business.
We do buy oil from them, and Chevron is allowed to operate there. But they can produce a lot more oil than they are producing because of their backward communist ways. So we want our advanced oil producers to get in there and start pumping out more oil, I think. And then we want to get the tax. We want to tax the American corporations that go in there, I think. So.
Yeah, well, exactly. And it's kind of like these companies like BlackRock becomes like an extension of the government in that way.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So
we don't have state-owned oil enterprises, but we earn taxes from them. So it's kind of similar. So we definitely want to do that. Hey, man, I got to see if anybody else wants to call in about Candace.
Yeah, certainly. The only one I'll mention one last thing concerning Candace.
Yes.
Was that trap door too?
Trap door
behind. Yeah.
And the fact they paved over the thing. Yes, I know that theory.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know what to think of it.
Oh, and the camera above them.
The camera.
The guy took the SD
right.
card. Yeah, the guy takes an SD card out of a camera behind him. But But after hearing about how the bullet traveled like down the spine like that, I got thinking, of course, there's all these other possibilities, sure. But the camera where it was could have been at the right trajectory to do that. And when I heard
if he
the
was shot from the camera.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
And that or from the ass of the seat, you know, like straight up through the spine, even maybe, I don't know. But anyway, that's just the one last thought I kind of had, was that maybe it could have come from a downward angle. So anyway, thanks for your time, man. I appreciate
Thanks, Branch.
you.
Appreciate you.
All right. Farewell.
All right. Talk to you later. All right. That's a long time listener. If anybody else wants to call, God damn it. I have to edit that out. Now I'm going to have to repost this video again. God. This is Nathan. You're on the air. Hello. Hello, you're on the air. I don't even know how that happened. My screen was frozen. Did you guys not hear me? Oh, and everybody tuned out too. Hello, can you hear me? Yeah, I know I need to take that out, Miss Invisible. I'll make the video private and take it out. I could end the show. It's been an hour, but I have more show to do. I don't even know how it did that. I didn't ask it to share my screen. It just switched. My whole screen froze. My face was frozen. I was talking, but you guys couldn't hear me. Thanks, Irie B, who says I don't need to repost. No, I do. I have to set the video to private, edit out the doxing. But that's all right. I don't have the feds watching my show as much anymore, so people should be okay. If anybody wants me to shut down the stream and make it private, go ahead and let me know in the chat. I will. I'll honor your request. Theoretically, people could. So sorry about that. I do my best to avoid situations like that. I hadn't shared my screen. Somehow it came up shared. I froze. Everything froze. All right. Anybody else? Now we lost about 50 people, I think. That looks like. If anybody else wants to call in, you can. I can play some more stuff. Do you want to see? I don't need to play the Daily Wire, her being fired. Don't need to play that. I can play Megyn Kelly said she was the one who arranged the meeting, so I can play that. Megyn Kelly apparently arranged the meeting between Erika and Candace Owens, which people aren't happy with.
Many of my viewers have been wondering why I haven't said anything, given my previous statements about Erika. And the reason is that I have been working behind the scenes to try to foster a détente between them. Erika called me weeks ago and asked me if I would be part of this sit down with them, which originally they had contemplated might be for consumption by the public, might air in some way, shape, or form, and asked if I would facilitate that meeting between the two of them. And I said yes immediately. Of course I would. I reached out to Candace. She said, absolutely. I'm thrilled it's you. I'm in. And the two of them took it from there, trying to negotiate the specifics of what they'd both be comfortable with, where, when, etc. And eventually it changed after they hit some roadblocks. Again, that's for someone else to tell you about if they so choose. I understand my core audience knows who I am and would never have assumed the worst about me, that I was just abandoning Erika or getting ready to pounce on Candace and, insert myself into this on one side. I'm not getting ready to do that. And I don't want that. I don't think that's God's role for me here. I really fully believe God's role for me here is to possibly play a role in getting this whole thing to a better place. I think I might be in a position to help construct that. Maybe not. But sitting here in my studio in Connecticut, just slinging mud at one side or the other, or tearing people down, or, expressing my disgust, my outrage, that is pointless here. My goal and my job here, I think, is to try to understand, yes, where Candace is coming from on this. I know you're not supposed to say, you're supposed to just immediately condemn her. But I love the turning point, guys, and I don't believe for 1 second any of them had anything to do with Charlie's murder. Not for 1 second do I believe that. So people who care about Candace and love Erika have been in a tough position as this whole thing has escalated, and care about Turning Point, which I deeply do. And I will make sure that their legacy is not destroyed. And I will do everything within my power to help them thrive, including supporting my own kids in forming a Turning Point chapter and going out to AmFest and helping headline that event and encouraging everyone I know within the conservative movement to go and support them and to donate.
Good. Well, that's what she says. She likes TPUSA. You guys decide. You have to tell me if you think TPUSA is still involved in the murder of Charlie Kirk. We got one call. I don't think anybody else is going to call in. We lost a bunch of people when the program froze on me, and then I have to delete part of this episode, which is super unfortunate because they make me repost it as a new video, and then everybody that tuned in, it shows with all the views I get from people tuned in, it shows as a brand new video. So just have to do it. I can't leave. I have to edit out part of the show. So I feel bad. And actually it wasn't even my fault this time. So, all right. So that's the story. That's the only phone call I got. So I'm going to take down the phone. We're going to get into the rest of the news. News from, since we're still talking about conspiracies about shootings, this is interesting news about the shooting at Brown University. There was a conservative female leader at the university who was one of the people who died. And apparently, I'll just play this clip. She may have been the target of the shooting, which means we have another leftist shooter killing another conservative, which would be big news. I'm not seeing many people talk about it. So this is Mark Halperin, who's a good journalist. I follow him. And he used to be on Morning Joe a lot, but he's a middle of the road kind of guy. So anyway, he says he has sources. Let's see what he says here.
Are telling me that the family of I just need to look up her name. I apologize.
Ella Cook, I think.
Thank you,
Mark.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That the family of Ella Cook, the Alabama young woman who was a sophomore, has been told that she was the target of what happened at Brown. I have no idea whether that's true. There's other theories about why the person did what they did, but now that we don't know who the assailant is, it's going to be harder to say. But if it's true that she was targeted, that's a big story because she was one of the most visible conservatives on that campus. Don't know that it's true, but probably most of you don't even know that that's being alleged because you'd have to follow certain accounts on X or have sources, as I do, who are telling me that. So, Amber, if she was targeted, and again, we don't know that, but if she were targeted, what would the implications of that be?
Well, I'll start with a couple of things that I think lend credence to that theory, which is one, typically when we see mass school shooters, they don't just stop and walk away, right? Usually they keep going until they're apprehended by police, shot dead, or they kill themselves.
Yeah, Amber,
in this case,
let me just stop you.
Yep.
I should have been clear. She was the number 2 person at the Young Republicans branch on Brown's campus. So that's why some people are concerned if she were targeted. Go ahead, Amber. I apologize.
Right. Well, and the other thing is, if the police are telling Brown students that they are safe, they don't have to shelter in place anymore, but they don't have a suspect in custody, I think that also suggests that this was some kind of targeted attack. Sadly, I wouldn't be surprised. When I was on campus at Georgetown, I was chair of the college Republicans. I had to report multiple threats against me in my final 2 years on campus.
Okay. So anyway, that would be a big story if the target of the assassination was another prominent conservative. I mean, it's ties right into the Charlie Kirk situation. So would be a big story. And the FBI has totally screwed it up. There's kind of an interesting thing from an FBI press conference today, which is, I believe that Brown isn't working with the FBI and they have facial recognition cameras. Listen to this.
President Donald Trump has said that Brown University is to blame for this shooting and saying it's the school's problem. Is that a fair criticism, or do you disagree with what the president
I don't think
says?
it's fair criticism.
Can
Colonel,
you expand on that?
why not? Because Brown University is not collaborating with you guys. You're lying to the press over here. They have facial recognition. We know that because they follow the students, they follow everybody in the neighborhood. Facial recognition. They need to release that data so everybody know who the guy is in video. We got the video Saturday. Why you guys release the video today?
I think I answered the question. Listen,
Colonel, I would just.
John, please, just for a second. A couple things. First of all, Brown University and Brown Public Safety, Brown Police Department has been a close collaborator throughout this process.
That's not true.
I do not accept that criticism.
No, come on. We know that.
Secondly, everyone you see behind us, we've all been working for now 49 hours. We're tired.
There you go. So some guy interrupted the press conference to say Brown has facial recognition cameras that they track everybody on campus with, and that they're not sharing it with the FBI. The FBI were kicking through the snow today. They still haven't found a shooter for this one. So there is this, which is probably through some 4chan research. Some character at the school named Mustafa Karbouch is a first-year student concentrated in international and public affairs and anthropology with a focus on the Middle East. He's apparently he's a queer Palestinian activist, third-generation Palestinian refugee whose information was on the college website and no longer is, according to Daddy Sleuths and Mommy Sleuths. So people are claiming that he might be the guy. This is a picture of the guy. And then here's a picture of the suspect in super low res. So that's a particular conspiracy theory about that case. So someone was asking about the Australia case being a false flag. Yeah, some people are talking about that. So, oh, in fact, I have a video about that where a person accuses them. I have a few different videos. I have Netanyahu being crazy. Here, this is somebody suggesting that it was Mossad. Here.
You quote tweeted someone saying, breaking Iran is behind the attack in Australia, and you quote tweeted saying, the more they say it, the more I believe Mossad did it. And you also retweeted another person who said, we believe Israel is behind the Sydney attack. And that person was quote tweeting someone else saying, do you think Iran is behind the Sydney attack? So my question to you, Professor, is do you genuinely think the Mossad could be behind this attack? Or are you just being critical and mocking people that are blaming Iran? I think there's a big difference between the two.
No, I wouldn't put anything beyond Mossad and the Israeli regime. On October the 7th, when Hamas was taking the prisoners or hostages back to Gaza, we know that the Israeli regime carried out the Hannibal Directive, and it did not admit this, and it killed large numbers of people. Also, regardless of who was behind 9/11, we saw 19, apparently it's established, confirmed, that 19 of them were Saudi, Emirati, I think Lebanese, and mostly Saudi, 15, I think Saudi. But we know that, for example, the airlines and the banking stocks, the banks that were in the building, people sold their stocks right before the attack. And the United States never said who sold the stocks. And therefore, there were people who knew.
There you go. So that's what he's saying. He's saying it could be Mossad, which, I mean, it certainly serves the interests of Israel, who apparently were sending warnings to the Australian government about all the anti-Semitism and how there was going to be an attack. And now Netanyahu is threatening Western governments, basically. Here's a clip from Netanyahu saying He demands action. It's in Hebrew, I believe, with subtitles.
אני דורש מממשלות המערב לעשות את מה
I
שנדרש
demand that
כדי
Western
להילחם
governments
באנטישמיות
do what's necessary to fight
ולתת את
anti-Semitism
הביטחון
and
הדרוש
provide the required
להבטחה
safety and security
לקהילות
for
היהודיות
Jewish
בעולם.
communities worldwide.
וכדאי
They would be
שיקשיבו
well
להזמנות
advised to heed
דורש
our
מהם
warnings. I
פעולה
demand
עכשיו.
action from them now,
אני
he says.
דורש מממשלות
He says he demands it. And I believe that has to do with changing the algorithms. So that's Netanyahu threatening the West, basically. If we don't stop anti-Semitism, then we are going to there will be consequences from Netanyahu. I have a guy talking about anti-Goyism, a Jewish person talking about anti-Goyism. I could play that for you, but let's see. Do you want to see that? You want to see something about anti-Goyism? I can play that for you.
Hi everyone, my name is Kobe. I was born and raised Jewish in Israel. Today I want to talk about something that's been on my mind. Why do we only hear about anti-Semitism, but never about anti-Goyism, as taught in the Talmud? So what is anti-Goyism? It's a term that refers to prejudice or hostility by Jews towards non-Jews, often rooted in religious or cultural teachings. In the context of the Talmud, it includes passages that some interpret as promoting the idea that Goyim, non-Jews, are inferior or even enemies. The Talmud, which is our central text, contains passages that some interpret as promoting anti-Goyism. For instance, in the Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Avodah Zarah 26b, it said, even the best of the Gentiles should be killed. Another example in Avodah Zarah 36b, it says, the daughters of idolaters, non-Jews, are in state of nidah, which means filth, from birth. The Sanhedrin 82a, whoever cohabits with a Gentile woman, zealots may strike him. And in the Tosafot commentary on Avodah Zarah 26b, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai said, the best of the Gentiles kill him. Let's also talk about Jesus in the Talmud. He is referred to as Yeshu and is portrayed as a sorcerer and a deceiver. In Sanhedrin 107b, it is discussed that Jesus was stoned and hanged on the eve of Passover, portraying him as a false prophet and a sorcerer. Now, I've searched and I couldn't find any derogatory references to Jews in the Christians or Muslim texts. It seems that while we have these teachings in the Talmud, other religions don't have similar derogatory views about Jews. And I just want to be clear, anti-Semitism is real, but so is anti-Goyism. Both are forms of bigotry that need to be addressed. It's time to have an honest conversation about all forms of prejudice, not just ones that suit our Jewish narrative. So could it be that anti-Semitism is, in a way, Jewish karma for being a racist religion? I don't know. I think so. That's a heavy question, but one worth considering. If we acknowledge the derogatory views in our own texts, maybe we can start to understand the cycle of prejudice and work towards breaking it. So next time you hear about anti-Semitism, remember to ask, what about anti-Goyism? Let's talk about both, because true justice means recognizing all forms of discrimination, no matter where they come from.
Okay. I point that out a lot myself on this show. We should be able to. Judaism is a supremacist religion based on their texts in the Talmud. They do claim to be better than everybody who is not them. And it is a religion based on blood, given that you have to have a Jewish mother to actually be Jewish. And that means you have a soul, which other people, the nations or the Goyim, don't have. So interesting that he makes that point. So we should be able to criticize religion for sure. So Anyway, that's a story. You can decide on the Australian attack being a false flag or not. You have to look at their training and stuff, see who these guys were trained by. We assume they really killed people, but were they set up to do it by the Mossad? We can ask questions, can't we? All right, so that's the story about that. We talked about Candace. It looks like I can edit my video without having to repost it as a new video, so I'll try that. Hopefully I can do it. I'll have to set it to private before the show's over. Okay, other big news today. Susie Wiles, who Trump calls Susie Trump and said is the most powerful woman in the world, did like 12 interviews with a Vanity Fair writer in which she said that Trump has an alcoholic's personality, called JD Vance a conspiracy theorist, and said that Pam Bondi completely whiffed the early handling of the Epstein files. She also claimed that the retribution, she wanted to keep a lid a little bit on the revenge tour against Trish and Comey. She wanted to make sure that that was all handled in the first 90 days and tried to keep him from going after them too much, but said that he really wants to and that he is focused on going after his political enemies. She also said that in Venezuela, we're doing regime change. I told you breaking news that seems like I just got an update about it. It seems like we've blockaded Venezuela now, so that's a serious escalation. Yeah, I could look for news updates on that. She confirms that what we're doing is not about drugs, but it's actually about regime change, and that if we keep bombing boats, that we will have regime change in Venezuela, which I think we're doing for the oil, for the heavy oil that they have there. So it was a very interesting interview. Everybody else in the administration came out immediately to defend her on Twitter. Some people were saying maybe she'd get fired. The headline says Trump's top aide acknowledges score settling behind prosecutions. That's the headline in the New York Times. The article was actually done by Vanity Fair, but then the New York Times wrote about it too. So she also said Elon Musk is an avowed ketamine user and an odd duck whose actions were not always rational and left her aghast. She claimed that Russell Vought, the budget director, is a right-wing absolute zealot. She claims that there were disagreements within the staff about tariffs. She claims that she didn't want Trump to pardon the violent January 6 rioters, which he did anyway. She says huge disagreement on tariffs and that they had to do a better job with deportations because they were deporting people who didn't need to be deported. So that all happened today. I'll play you. So a lot of people talking about it. Cable news is talking about it today. Interesting that she was willing to go on the record and say all of those things. But apparently she's not going to get fired. And people took it in stride. I'll play you JD Vance's response to being called a conspiracy theorist.
And that is the interviews that White House Chief of Staff Susie Wiles gave to Vanity Fair, in which she's quoted as referring to you as, excuse me, and again, not my words, sir, but a conspiracy theorist of a decade, and described your transformation from someone who once opposed President Trump to now his vice president as an act of political expediency. And I'd like to give you the chance to respond to that, sir.
Well, first of all, if Susie, I'll trust what you said. I haven't looked at the article. I of course have heard about it, but conspiracy theorist. Sometimes I am a conspiracy theorist, but I only believe in the conspiracy theories that are true. And by the way, Susie and I have joked in private and in public about that for a long time. For example, I believed in the crazy conspiracy theory back in 2020 that it was stupid to mask 3-year-olds at the height of the COVID pandemic, that we should actually let them develop some language skills. You know, I believed in this crazy conspiracy theory that the media and the government were covering up the fact that Joe Biden was clearly unable to do the job. And I believed in the conspiracy theory that Joe Biden was trying to throw his political opponents in jail rather than win an argument against his political opponents. So, at least on some of these conspiracy theories, it turns out that a conspiracy theory is just something that was true 6 months before the media admitted it. And that's my understanding.
Pretty good answer. What do you guys think of JD Vance? Hey, chat, what do you think of JD Vance? Rubio says he's not going to run against him if he runs, that he's going to be the nominee. I think he's all right. He's a smooth operator. I will say that. He's much more of a smooth operator than Trump. He has gone out and said that people actually are suffering in Trump's economy. And I have some Trump's economy news. Maybe I'll go into that. And then we'll do a popular segment on this show we just started called Isn't That Racist? We're going to do that. That part of the show is going to be coming up, featuring Crockett and Ilhan Omar. So we're going to go ahead and do that segment today, just to keep you tuned in. So anyway, that's JD Vance, who Alan Barker says is a Palantir plant. Yes, he is. He's Peter Thiel's boy, as Nick Fuentes has pointed out. He is Peter Thiel's boy, and Peter Thiel is a transhumanist who wants us to combine with the artificial intelligence. So let me tell you a little bit about Trump's economy, which he still says is great. They're saying that next year is when the golden age officially starts. So this is the official story for the Trump campaign. First of all, that things are great, that affordability is a hoax. So let's talk about that. He even has some of his talking heads agreeing that the economy is great, which nobody thinks. No working people think. AI people think the economy is great. People who work in cable news might think the economy is great. Here's Maria Bartiromo saying that she agrees that affordability is a hoax. This is the messaging that's going to just get them completely crushed in the midterms.
People are frustrated with housing and the price of homes. People are frustrated with certain food items. But there are a number of things that President Trump has already been incredibly successful doing. So when he says this affordability issue is a hoax, he's right. He's basically talking about how the Democrats have taken this word affordability and used it as their calling card for the 2026 elections. They think that these Democrat wins that we just saw in Miami, in New York City, in other places like New Jersey, we shouldn't be surprised that the Democrats won those races. These are all blue states and cities. So it's no surprise there. What is a surprise is that after all of these years, the Republicans keep getting rolled over by the Democrats' messaging. I got to tell you, I don't think that people really feel as bad as the Democrats are talking about. The economy is doing well. There's $18 trillion of new investment that have come into this country. People are frustrated with housing.
That's
and the
fake.
Price of homes.
The 18 trillion is fake. It's sort of like promises due to the tariffs. Some countries have promised investment over some long period of time, but they haven't made firm commitments. We've gotten a few $100 billion, I believe. Apparently that's real. Donald Trump sometimes says it's 21 trillion, 18 trillion in investments from overseas. That's actually totally fake. Some countries have said they're going to do some stuff with us and make some investment in us to have lower tariffs on them, but they haven't made any commitment in writing to doing that. Trump says it all the time. Next year, we say, next year is going to be the golden year. Well, housing is already coming down. rent is actually coming down because we're already in a recession, which is probably going into a depression. And next year is probably not going to be great. AI stocks are about to collapse probably because of the bubble. We're counting on AI to save our economy. But OpenAI will be the first victim, we assume. Overspending, under-delivering. Nobody's using it. They're using people are stopping using OpenAI now, and they're going to stop paying for it too. I have news about that. Here's a real person talking about Trump's economy. Play that.
Over time, my kids' daycare went up. Can't afford the cost of food. Using credit cards for everyday expenses. No money left after their bills are paid. Pretty much just a whole bunch of financial mess.
We changed presidents at the beginning of the year.
We did.
And the guy who moved into the White House said that he was going to fix it. Several times he said it would be easy.
Absolutely.
Has he fixed it?
Absolutely not. I'm definitely waiting for him to fix it.
Jones is a 3-time Trump voter, but she says he has simply failed to keep his promise to lower the cost of living.
I'm very let down by that. Very, very let down because I feel like it's only gotten worse. Of his overtime.
So they're going to do a bunch of these interviews. CNN is. And I know it's CNN and they hate Trump. He's right about that. But they're going to do a bunch of these interviews. And then with healthcare, wow. Healthcare is going to be our biggest problem. And I have wagered on the government shutting down again in January because they won't agree on healthcare. The Republicans do not plan to extend the subsidies, which I think is maybe fine, but people are going to pay a lot more. I have clips about that, about how much people are going to pay for insurance. I'll show you that. Here's Trump talking about the Obama subsidies in the usual way.
At the end of this year, those extended Obamacare subsidies expire. What's your message to those 24 million Americans who will see their insurance premiums go up?
Don't make it sound so bad because, obviously you're a sycophant for Democrats. You're obviously a provider of bad news for Republicans. Let me just say something. The Republicans, I think I can speak for Tom and most other people. I think what most Republicans want to see is what I want to see. And I leave it to them, and hopefully they're going to put great legislation on this desk right here.
At the end of...
So anyway, he says people's premiums are going to go up under Obamacare. And he's like, don't make it sound so bad. It is going to be kind of bad for those people, but it is the fault of Obamacare. And part of the fault of Obamacare is the thing is Obamacare had a fine if you didn't sign up for Obamacare, which made healthy young people have to buy Obamacare, or if they didn't get it through their employer, made healthy young people have to get insurance or get fined by the government, which still happens in California, by the way. And that was the way to make sure healthy young people paid in, which kept premiums down. The Republicans got rid of that, which fair enough. People shouldn't be penalized if they can't afford insurance. But the effect of that is now healthy young people just don't get insurance at all, which you can't blame them for, considering how expensive it is if you're not getting it through your employer. But it's going to hit employers next too. I've heard employer healthcare plans are also getting worse. It's going to ripple through the system. So this healthcare thing, that'll be a big issue. Here, I'll show you some video from that. Here's people talking about how much their healthcare is, which is insane. It's actually cheaper to be uninsured for the most part, unless you get cancer or have to go to the emergency room for some kind of horrific thing where you have to stay there multiple days and stuff. It's cheaper to put money into a savings account every month and pay out of pocket without insurance, because they charge you more if you have insurance, and then you have to pay the full amount because you're insured and you have a high deductible. So it's actually cheaper to not have insurance, take $500 a month or whatever, put it in a health savings account if you can, and then pay for everything without insurance because they give you a huge discount. They give you a huge discount for not being insured. So you can actually afford the cash price if you've been saving money. But if you have insurance, then they charge you way more. And you have to pay it because you have a $13,000 deductible or whatever. Here's one example of somebody who has, and their, how much their 2026 plan is going to cost them.
Look at this.
2,094.
Look at this.
$13,000 deductible.
Look at this. Look.
Estimated total yearly cost is $27,229. The poverty line for one person is about $31,000, I think. It's like $1,800 a month. So actually maybe it's $21,000. So the poverty line actually for a family of 4, I think might be 30 something thousand. And if you get above that poverty line, you have to pay for insurance, which is subsidized through Obamacare. But still, this shows you can make $100,000 a year. And actually, then you're going to get taxed first. And then after tax, you're going to have to pay $25,000 a year for insurance. It's not, it's literally just not affordable at all. Here's another person talking about how they can't afford it. Here's another person. Here.
My husband recently lost his job and he was the one that carried insurance. So we thought, since it's enrollment time, let's look at me carrying insurance. All right. We have the 2 of us and we have our 5 kids. So it's going to be a family plan. Now I make $2,600 a month after taxes. $2,600. And insurance was $1,100 a month. Now I understand this is all pre-tax and stuff. So maybe I'll have $1,800 a month after they take out insurance, for our 5 kids. And you'd say, well, go on Snap. Anyway, so I thought, you know what? Let's go look at the ACA options. Maybe there's some good ones out there. $1,600 a month for a $17,000 deductible. And they will only pay 50% after I meet that deductible. So I'm thinking we're just going to go die.
There you go. I think that's going to be the only choice for people. It's going to get ugly. And then I haven't even talked about the stock market and stuff today, or Bitcoin. Oh my God. And we're about to start a war with Venezuela. We just started a blockade. So the cheap gas is actually going to get more expensive. But gas is cheap. Gas is cheap. I'll give him that. But that's not because of anything Donald Trump did. That's just because we're already in a depression, probably. And people aren't buying as much. So that's a little economic news. I've looked up that the blockade is real. We are doing the blockade. Okay, now, isn't that racist? Our favorite part of the show. We have Jasmine Crockett. Even her Democrats don't like this. Here's Jasmine Crockett. Isn't that racist? This segment is called. Let's see.
Just this past week, I saw, I don't remember which celebrity, but it was actually a celebrity. And I was like, I don't know that that's not necessarily a bad idea, but I'd have to think through it a lot. One of the things that they propose is Black folk not have to pay taxes for a certain amount of time, because then again, that puts money back in your pocket. But at the same time, it may not be as objectionable to some people about actually giving out dollars. But obviously, then you start dealing with the different tax brackets and things like that. And that's one of the reasons that, we argue the reparations make sense, because so many Black folk, not only do you owe for the labor that was stolen and killed and all the other things, right? But the fact is, like, we end up being so far behind, right? And so it's like, how do you bring forth people? Exactly. And so it's like, if you do the no tax thing for people that are already, say, struggling and aren't really paying taxes in the first place, it doesn't really exactly.
They may want those checks like they got
exactly.
There you go. That's that one. That wasn't the one I was thinking that people are upset with their app. Probably some people like that one. Black people already don't pay taxes for the most part, I guess, because they don't make enough money to pay taxes. Apparently, like 50% of people don't pay any taxes. Here's Jasmine Crockett again. This is the one that some people, even Democrats, don't like. Here we go.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right, right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying to go and farm right now. Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands. You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation. So I had to go around.
We done picking cotton, implying that that's what we need illegal immigrants for, is to pick the cotton for us and work on the plantations, which is what we use them for, basically. We would have to pay people more without illegal immigrants. Just say it. We would have to pay people more. People would do it. Everybody's willing to do something for the right price. People would do it. White people or Native American people, white people, black people, born in this country, etc. We would work the fields. We would just have to pay more. We bring in the legal immigrants to bring down labor and drive up rent prices and make everybody else poorer. We would do it. Food would be more expensive. Wine might be more expensive if Native American people would have to pick the grapes. Strawberries might be a little bit more. That's what they pick around here. That's what they bring in the illegals for. Isn't that racist? That's the section of this show. Okay. Now we have Ilhan Omar.
Oh,
it's in a different language. My answer to Somalians was that the U.S. government will only do what Somalians in the U.S. tell them to do. They must do what we want. Oh, sorry. Let me get that to you. They will do what we want and nothing else. They must follow our orders. That is how we will safeguard the interest of Somalia. We Somalians must have that confidence in ourselves that we call the shots in the U.S. We live in the U.S., pay taxes in the U.S., and have a real voice. The U.S. is a country where one of your daughters, myself, is in Congress to represent your interest. For as long as I am in the U.S. Congress, Somalia will never be in danger. Its waters will not be stolen by Ethiopia or others. The U.S. would not dare to support anyone against Somalia to steal our land or oceans. Sleep in comfort knowing I am here to protect the interests of Somalia from inside the U.S. system. And I spared you listening to Somalian. Isn't that racist? Let's see. Tim Walls.
Do you want to hear more from members of leaders from the Somali community to say, we need to look at ourselves, we need to hold our own neighbors accountable, because look at the damage that this has done to our community. What do you want to hear more from, instead of just saying, don't blame us? Do you want to see more ownership and oversight from within this?
Look, it's not law-abiding citizens. If that were the case, there's a lot of white men should be holding a lot of white men accountable for the crimes that they have committed. I think for the community to maybe educate their population, because I think what you're seeing here is there's secondary victims in this, that there's providers inside the community that are then victimizing the community themselves by signing them up, because when we're going to some of these people, they're like, I had no idea I was in this program. So I think it's asking us then, for every crime, which of course the majority being committed by white men, asking us to do more about that. I think it's crime in general. And I think the biggest thing on this is just making sure that we're educating the population. And again, this is 80 people or so that have been convicted in this, maybe some more in that, out of a
Make it about white people. So there you go. That's the segment. Isn't that racist? So that was Tim Walz, who people say is a retard. All right. Finally, with AI news, AI robots taking over everything. Let me just show you that. We have apparently fully automated McDonald's, fully automated already. So this could be the future of fast food. And the upside is to autonomy, autonomous everything, not having humans do jobs, is that things will be cheaper. That's the upside once it scales. For now, it's probably the same price. Once it scales, then things should get cheaper, theoretically. But here's the automated McDonald's.
This is huge news. The first fully automated McDonald's is now open in Fort Worth, Texas. Now, this is what's going to happen with AI technology. It's going to first take over low-level jobs that require repetitive tasks, simple decision-making. This includes jobs like this McDonald's here. As AI systems become more sophisticated, they will take over more complex jobs. Financial analysis, legal, even medical diagnosis will eventually be taken over by AI. This is huge.
That is true. David Nutsacks says that's not true. But I'm not going to play you a 5-minute video of him saying it's not true. David Sachs, the advisor to Trump, who's driving the AI thing, who made him say that states can't regulate AI. He claims that jobs will not be taken by AI, and that's fake news, but it's not fake news. They're going to take away jobs, all kinds of different jobs. Let me tell you about the collapse of OpenAI. One of the reasons I think OpenAI is maybe going to be the canary in the coal mine. They're already having problems. I noticed with OpenAI, they make you pay for things that are free from Google, Gemini, and Grok. Grok and Gemini, I just use those and I don't pay. I never run into any limits. They let me do pretty much whatever I want. I think if I wanted to make videos, I'd have to pay. But Google gives you access to Nano Banana, which is a great photo editor and photo creator. I've used it sometimes to make thumbnails, and it's totally free. And this is the theory. This is from the guys that push AI in their show, the All In podcast. But this is how Google will put OpenAI out of business. So I believe this is probably true. So
here's what Google and other folks are planning. They're going to take the main revenue stream of OpenAI and they're going to suck the oxygen out of the room and they're going to try to strangle Sam and the team over there by making it free. So right now, if 75% of that revenue,
metaphor.
Very violent
metaphor.
But this is war. This is the greatest battle we've seen since like Netscape versus Microsoft and the internet. They're going to make Gemini free for life for the best models. That's my prediction for Google. And I think Meta will be right behind them. Why? They have the ad network already built. And they know in that fierce competition, which you were part of, Chamath and Freeberg, how fierce that competition was. That duopoly does not want to become a throuple with Sam. I think this is going to be very analogous to what happened with Netscape. People used to pay $50 for a Netscape browser. And then the idea when Microsoft came in and made it free and Chrome became free and Dolphin browser and a million other providers, same thing's going to happen to ChatGPT. Right now, 80% of the revenue comes from $20 subscriptions. That's going to get decimated to zero. I don't think consumers are going to pay for this product, just like they won't pay for search and they won't pay for a browser because Google and Meta will make it.
There you go. I think that's true. So NVIDIA is in trouble. I think the AI trade is in trouble. That's my thesis right now. OpenAI is supposedly going to spend $1 trillion, but they're not going to have enough. People aren't going to keep subscribing. They're already changing to other services. So, and you can use Google Gemini now in Chrome on iPhone. It's built into the Chrome browser on iPhone. It's built into my Chrome browser. I just asked it how to edit a video and not have to post it as a new video, and it told me, and it's going to guide me through it. So, but the Trump administration is counting on AI to solve all our problems. I'll play one final video. Howard Nutlick says our entire economy is going to be based on AI.
AI is going to grow in America. We have the right rules. We have the right foundation. We're building huge amounts of energy here to keep energy prices low. We're going to create a great economy based on the AI infrastructure build. I think that's going to create advanced manufacturing so we can bring manufacturing and reshore it to America. Remember, Americans don't have millions of people to screw in little screws in iPhones, but we do have the capacity to run robotics. You know, when I say robotics, think about it, a modern auto plant, you know, with those robotic arms doing the welding. Thousands of technicians will be manning those factories, and that's what's going to come to America. I think you're going to see enormous manufacturing growth in America across pharmaceuticals, semiconductors, autos, steel. It's all coming home, and we're going to have an amazing economy. I would not be afraid. I would be excited. The AI is going to grow in.
He says humans will be manning the robots. I don't think that's how it works. In China, the robots just run the factories. They don't even turn on the lights. That's how they're doing it. So if we want to we'll bring manufacturing back, but it won't involve humans. We might have to fix robots a little bit, but I don't think there are going to be hundreds of humans standing behind robots while they do everything. I don't think. So thanks, Ms. Invisible. You subscribed? Thanks. I'll try not to let you down. And I'll try to sleep well. I've been having some issues with sleep, actually. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. Good wishes. All right, we talked about Candace Owens. We'll see what happens. I'll tune into her show and see what people are saying tomorrow. But I think that seems to be on a downward trajectory now. That's my feeling based on what I saw today. So I will have to take this video down and make it private, but apparently I can repost it as the same video, but I have to edit out a small section. So thanks everybody for tuning in. I appreciate you guys. Let me check my coffees. Remember, you can always go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil even after the show's over to support the show. And I did not get any coffees today. So unlike Candace Owens, I'm not profiting from my conspiracy theories. I would like to someday. So I do drink coffee every day when I'm preparing for the show. And I do eat cookies. So if you want to support the show, buy some clothes at truthclothing.io, which are basically free almost, or go to buymeacoffee.com/lifttheveil, drop me some coffees and leave me a note if you would. Appreciate it. And that's it for now. I'll be back tomorrow night, most likely 4 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Eastern time. The Lift the Veil show. For now, that's what it is.